de Usalamedia. Welcome to Compass. Les habla Fernando Mendez y tenemos un invitado especial, Drew Murray, who's a candidate for City Hall. He wants to be City Council at large, right?
Correct. City Council at large.
City Council at large, which means you'll be responsible for the whole city.
For the whole city.
So if you see any potholes and any kind of problem, trash, abandoned cars, you give...
Call Mr. Mendez, and Mr. Mendez will get in touch with me.
Call, since you're in charge of the whole city now. So
that's what I hope.
That's what I hope.
I can't do a worse job than our current our current mayor. But
okay.
Did you teach him at St. Joe's Prep, Mr.?
Oh no, I was not that unlucky. Man.
You don't like him?
No.
But he's a Democrat.
But I'm not. Listen, I was registered Republican. I voted for Reagan.
What happened to you? I thought you get more intelligent as you get older. You have wisdom, you have experience.
It's like these children who were. It's a Reagan joke, but the children who were. It was a child only selling little dogs that he, little pups, and there was a liberal meeting, Democrats, and he was saying, buy a Democratic puppy. And so people were buying him. And then the reporter saw him a week later at a Republican meeting saying, what happened? Are you selling Republican puppies? Mm-hmm. He said, well, the difference is that now they have their eyes open.
Well, I thought you would have your eyes open.
That was Reagan's story. I don't believe in either party right now.
Okay.
Like I don't believe in church. I don't believe in parties.
Why don't you believe in church?
Any of these institutions.
We'll get you back, Mr. Mendez.
What was that?
We'll get you back to the church.
Oh, I doubt it.
You can come to mass with me.
You're more likely to get me back as a Republican.
You are. I think you're already a Republican, Mr. Mendez.
I'm fairly conservative.
Do you like taxes?
Do I like taxes?
Do you think taxes should be raised?
I think taxes should be raised, but should be used
then you're not
properly.
A Republican, actually.
Should be used properly, that's all.
How about the wealth tax?
Well, you need taxes.
So Kendra Brooks, Councilmember Kendra Brooks, wants to do a wealth tax. That means that all those stocks that you have, the millions of dollars of stocks, you will now be taxed on those stocks.
Oh, this is all I know as far as taxes for the rich. If all the billionaires and millionaires in this country paid their taxes properly, there would not be any need for charity. That's how
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think people should pay their fair share.
That was a study, I think it was Harvard or one of those institutions, about the number of people that if they pay their taxes, we will have no need for charity.
I'd have to look at that study.
Well, you look at it, because...
But do you want to raise taxes on yourself?
If they are going to be properly used and if they are not excessive, I will be willing to pay taxes.
But they could be excessive. So what about this wealth tax?
Well, if they are excessive, then I will complain.
What about this wealth tax then? If you have, let's say, $1 million in stock, and now you're going to be taxed on that stock, even if you bought the stock at $2 million, you could have lost money on your actual value of your stock. You're still going to be taxed on that. Do you think that's a good idea? Because wealth, and this is what I always hear, the wealth tax. Well, what is the definition of wealthy? Because I guarantee you members of the Working Families Party and extreme liberal Democrats think you're rich. They think I'm rich. I'm not a wealthy person.
I'm not either.
But they think you are. You live in Rittenhouse Square. You live
I'm house rich, and my bank account is poverty.
You have no liquidity, but you have a pension. You have probably some stocks and things like that. Yes. You're probably, by their definition, wealthy.
Are you opposed to taxes?
I'm not opposed to taxes. I'm opposed to more taxes. I'm opposed to the fact that in Philadelphia we have a wage tax that's exorbitant.
It's the highest in the country.
It's the highest in the country. We have a transfer tax on when you finally sell that house of like 4.6%. Everywhere else in the state
Except
of Pennsylvania.
there are loopholes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
The rich find the loopholes all the way. They do. They transfer property to their children all the time without tax.
I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with, having estate planning and things like that, because if you want to pass your house on to your children, they might not have the ability to pay the taxes. So there are some programs that it's not necessarily a bad thing. You've already paid taxes on your
I have
house.
one child, and
So let's say your
he
house
doesn't need my money.
I'll tell you what, then you can give your house to me. I'll take it, and I'll pay the taxes on it as well. But let's say you have a $500,000 house and you want to leave that to your child. Your child is going to have to pay the taxes on that. Now, your child might not have the liquidity and the cash on hand to pay that. So there's nothing wrong with estate planning. I think there's a limit to it, and I understand what you're saying. But I think that, at least in Philadelphia, and you didn't even let me finish all the taxes. We have the wage tax, transfer tax, 2% tax on the sales in addition to the 6%
Real estate tax.
in the Pennsylvania, real estate tax, soda tax. You want to drink a sweetened beverage, you're paying
I drink
a
water.
lot more. You don't drink any sweet beverages? Gatorade?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
That's why you're so healthy and
No.
you look
no,
so
I'm
young.
not healthy, but I don't drink any of that.
You drink a lot of water so you can drink a lot
I
of
drink a
wine
lot
at
of
night?
water. Yes, I
Is
do
it,
drink a lot
it's
of
to
water.
counter the wine and beer at night?
I drink a lot of water. I drink some wine.
Yes.
I like wine, but that's about it.
Yeah. I do. I say I'm very healthy. I eat healthy. I exercise every day. I still lift weights. My vice is sugary drinks. I'll admit it. I do it less than I did before, but I still.
I used to. I remember when I came to this country and I discovered all the sodas available.
They're
I was like, wow,
They're delicious.
I'm in heaven.
But I don't think we should tax people on it. I mean, I think targeting a tax base like that is not fair.
Well, the complaint is that it targets the poor.
It does target the
rich,
poor.
The rich
Absolutely.
people don't drink soda.
No, the rich people like yourself,
drink Perrier.
they drink Perrier water and carbonated water. Or and I say this, and I was someone who wasn't necessarily opposed to the soda tax in the beginning. Number one, they said it was going to be a couple pennies on a soda, which is completely untrue. But
No,
the problem,
it's not. What is it?
I don't even know what it is. It's so expensive now. It's probably 15, 20, 30% on top of what we used to pay. And the problem is, someone like me or you have a car. You can jump in your car and you can drive across City Line Avenue.
Right.
Or go to New Jersey and you can purchase your sweetened beverages, your sodas there. And by the way, while you're there, you can also...
That's an absurd argument.
No, it is not an absurd argument.
I'm going to spend $5 on gas to drive out someplace
But,
to get...
But I'm sure
get cheaper soda. I mean,
you're not spending $5 on gas, but if you're spending 2% less in all of your groceries, you're probably not going to Jersey. I understand that, but if you're in Jersey, you can buy it while you're there.
Actually,
you're
go
not
to
making
Jersey
a
all the
special
time.
trip. Yeah, so you're there all the time. That's where you buy your.
I'm teaching in Camden.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So then while you're there, you can. But the other people in underserved communities don't have the ability to jump in a car and cross City Line Avenue, or they're not already in New Jersey, so they're the ones burdened with this tax. And I saw it when I ran for city council in 2019. It's interesting. It's not as big of an issue, at least now, because crime is so bad. But in 2019, everybody wanted to talk about the soda tax. And when I went to underserved communities, that's what they wanted to talk about. They said, why am I paying more for soda? I can't jump in a car. I don't live right near City Line Avenue. And obviously people are doing it because Jeff Brown, who's currently running for mayor, he closed one of his ShopRites in West Philadelphia because of the sweetened beverage tax. He said it. He said, that is why I'm closing it. I can't, because it was too close to City Line Avenue. If you're driving to ShopRite right near City Line Avenue, West Philadelphia, and you can drive a half mile further and you cannot pay the sweetened beverage tax, you cannot pay the additional 2% sales tax on some items, not everything is taxed, obviously, at a grocery store, then why wouldn't you do it?
I would still say that it's ridiculous to drive anywhere to save pennies because you don't want to pay the soda tax.
But if you're if you're
wear
that
and tear
close,
on your car, gasoline, fighting traffic to get
but what
out of
if
the
you're already
city.
there? I go and visit my dad in Bryn Mawr. While I'm there, I can load up my car with.
See,
I don't do it.
You don't have to worry about any of that. You have a rich dad, and you're a wealthy person yourself.
Well, I know everyone. I know those pensions at St. Joe's Prep make all the teachers very wealthy. Obviously, that's why I'm having a fundraiser Friday night. I expect to see you there.
Yeah, good luck with that. Yes. Hope you're raising. How's it going, by the way?
It is. It's going. It's hard to raise money as a Republican in the city of Philadelphia, but it's going. Look, it's hard to raise money overall in politics. It's not just as a Republican, but it's that much harder in the city of Philadelphia because obviously there's only 116,000 Republicans versus about 900,000 Democrats. So it's hard to raise money.
So what are the odds for a Republican to get elected?
Because one of the seats I'm running for, there are 2 set-aside seats,
right.
Meaning there's 7 at-large seats. Only 5 can come from one party. So in Philadelphia, that means Democrats.
How many people are running on your party?
There's 6 people running. 5 will get through the primary. But our real battle is in November against the Working Families Party. They will have 2 people on the ballot. So we hope to have a plan that we are most competitive in that race in November, and we will. My running mate, I will say, Jim Hasher, who ran also in the special election last year, we plan on winning. We will win. So the chances are very good, and it's not like, oh, you're a Republican, you only have a 10% chance.
Right. This Workers' Family Party, is it Workers' Family or Working?
The Working
Family?
Families Party.
Sounds slightly communist.
It is communist.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are. They're not. I would even say socialist. They're absolutely communist.
Yeah, it seemed like a deliberate label to sort of say, like, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Watch out.
They might as well have the old Soviet symbol on their website.
Wow.
It's true, and it's funny that if you go to their website, it's very interesting. They want to take the money out of politics, right? They think money is
right.
bad, but they're pouring millions of dollars into their candidates, from what we understand, for city council and mayor. Because even though Helen Gim is running as a quote-unquote Democrat, she is endorsed by the Working Families Party, and they're going to pour millions of dollars. So even though their website says take money out of politics, they're doing the absolute opposite,
right.
which is oftentimes the case with socialism and communism.
I know, because it's fake. Because where are all these proletarians? Where do they get the money,
Well,
really.
Well, you said you wanted to raise your taxes. I figured maybe you were now a member of the Working Families Party. I thought maybe you've gone all the way from Republican and then past Democrat and now Working Families Party.
I don't want to be misquoted and misinterpreted. I said, fair taxes, I'm willing to pay.
But you said willing to pay more.
If they're fair, yes.
Okay.
If they go from 6.5 to 7%, I have no objection if they're fair taxes, and I can see where they're going to be.
But what is the line you're talking about? I mean, we pay a lot more than that in taxes. You're talking that was one tax. We probably pay in the realm, and I'm not a wealthy person.
25
overall.
25 overall, yeah.
Overall?
But that's what we are all.
You must be one of those people who aren't paying all your taxes, Mr. Mendez. I'm closer to 40. Now, you're retired, so maybe...
No, but adding... okay.
Yeah, you add everything up?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it will be closer to 40 when you add everything.
Everything, federal, state,
right.
and local.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even include, honestly, so that's just income tax.
That's almost socialism.
It is socialism. That's what I'm saying. We can't pay more taxes, and that doesn't include... sales tax. That doesn't include the sweetened beverage tax that we just talked about. Doesn't include, when you do sell your house, the transfer tax. I mean, honestly, if you looked at it, we're probably paying well over 50%, if not 60%, in taxes in the money that we make.
What is this transfer tax?
So the transfer tax, when you buy a house, right?
Yeah, right.
So let's say you sold your house to me.
Right.
There's a transfer tax. It's about 4.6%.
You have $1 million? I'll sell it to you today.
You sell it to me? I don't have $1 million.
I don't either.
I have 2 daughters in school, so I don't have $1 million. But yeah, so everywhere else in the state, I believe it's a 2% transfer tax. 1%, and it is true. 1% is Pennsylvania. 1% is normally the local municipality.
Right.
So it's normally 2% across the entire state. 1% still in Philadelphia goes to the state, but then 3.6 approximately goes to the city of Philadelphia. So that's 4.6 versus 2%.
Wow.
So you want to talk about affordable housing, a barrier to entry. If you want to buy a house and a house is $100,000, those closing costs are going to include $4,600. Now, it's normally paid by the seller, but even if the seller is paying it, they're factoring that into the sale price of the house. So
right.
You're always paying, whether it's, no matter how you look at it. It is still a cost that goes to the city of Philadelphia.
Well, we're going to take a break. Estamos en Campus, Usalamedia, hablando con Drew Murray sobre la candidatura para el Consejo Municipal. No se vayan, regresamos en un momento. Pagano's Market and Bar has been serving gourmet Italian foods in Center City for 3 generations. Call Matthew Pagano for all your catering needs, and during these difficult times, please mention Fernando Mendez and receive a nice discount along with free delivery. Pagano's also makes the finest gift boxes in the city for all your holiday needs. Visit paganosmarketandbar.com. Amigos de Usalamedia, estamos aquí de nuevo en Campus. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Estamos en una conversación con Drew Murray, who's a candidate for City Council at large, Republican, City of Philadelphia. And, Drew, how do you see, this is a Democratic city, in the hands of Democrats since 1953.
Yes.
Republicans have 2 seats reserved for City Council, right?
Well, no, 2 non-Democrats. So traditionally they've been Republicans, but
two seats that are not
two seats non-Democrats, exactly.
Out of how many in
out
City
of
Council?
7, so out of 17.
17. Right.
Now, Brian, there is one district councilman who is a Republican, Brian O'Neill.
Brian O'Neill,
who's also a senior.
He's been there a long time.
He's been there for 40 years, and he's a St. Joe's prep guy.
Yeah,
He's a prep guy. Probably graduated before you started teaching, though.
probably.
He was closer to my uncle Brendan's age.
Okay.
Or my uncle Kevin, so 64,
What
65.
class of 64, 65?
Somewhere in that realm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when your dad started at the prep.
68, I think he told
Something
me.
like that.
68? Yeah.
Yeah, around there. Wow.
1968 and Friend Central before that.
We're talking about Drew Murray, great coach. I worked with him for many years.
He coached for almost 50. You were there for
I
a large percentage.
I was there for 35 years.
Yeah.
And out of those, probably at least 20 I coached, helped with the soccer team.
Were you an official coach when he won the championship?
No, I was not there.
Were you at the prep, though?
Huh?
No?
No.
So you never won a Catholic championship with my dad? You missed it.
I went to many finals.
You went to many finals. I think it was like 18
went
finals.
Home crying.
I think my dad went to 18 finals in that, plus or minus, in that realm.
Yeah.
And he won 1. So he's 1 in 17 or 1 in 18 in that.
North Catholic or Ryan.
Judge.
Judge.
LaSalle. Toward the end, LaSalle was winning a lot.
Wow. Yeah, soccer since then has changed tremendously in terms of acceptance and popularity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it began exactly, but I remember the soccer moms in terms of in political speech that became a part of the terminology.
Soccer moms or Sarah Palin. She was a hockey mom.
Yeah,
I remember Sarah Palin. She was a hockey mom.
Republican.
I know you. I don't think you liked her either, did you?
No.
No.
Did you?
You know what? I did not think she was a good candidate as vice president of the United States. I'll say that.
She was a good candidate?
I don't think she was.
No, I don't think so.
I think she was local politician. She was probably good, but she didn't have the experience needed to be vice president. Not dissimilar to our current vice president of the United States.
I think she was the most ignorant person to be in public office.
Well, no, that can't be right.
You remember? I know there are more, but she's one of.
I think she was honestly. I think she didn't look when you're in that position. You need the experience, and you can. And I know what you're going to argue that Donald Trump did not have that experience, but you do need more experience than she had. But I look at someone like Kamala Harris, who is, I think she is much worse than Sarah Palin. And I look at our current president and think that he is much worse than probably every president prior.
Well, we're not going to go there because you're wrong on both counts.
And you're not allowed to talk about President Trump.
I am. It's my show.
He's not. No, you didn't know that?
I can bring that twice impeached, dishonest, unethical, unfaithful husband I can bring up his name anytime.
But twice impeached, but never removed from office.
I despise
I know
him
you do.
with every fiber.
But he's not the president anymore, Mr. Mendez.
I still despise him. He's in the news every day.
How do you like...
Today, in fact, the same...
But is that a witch hunt? And I honestly don't know if it is. I don't know if he did anything illegal. I don't necessarily care that much, but he paid off a woman. And guess who else paid off women?
This is beautiful.
President Clinton paid off
this
women
is
as well. Is it illegal? I'm not an attorney. I don't know. Is it immoral? Maybe. But is it illegal?
Clinton's lawyer didn't write a book attacking him for being immoral. Trump's lawyer did, and still talking against him. And
I'm not defending President Trump for what he did. I'm just saying, is it a bit of a witch hunt?
Sounds to me like you are.
It sounds like a witch. It sounds like a witch hunt to me.
You and McCarthy are both defending him.
I'm not.
McCarthy is defending the undefensible.
I'm not defending because I don't know enough about it. So
what do you want to know? I'll give you all the information.
You'll give you.
Yeah.
What do you need to know? Are you giving me unbiased information?
No, facts. I'll give you the facts, which is one thing I don't know is Republicans right now. When you hear the facts.
Let's go back. Well, we'll compare two things. Bill Clinton.
Compare Bill Clinton.
And President Trump.
Yes.
They did the same thing.
Yeah.
They paid off a woman. Shush money.
Well, we don't know how much Clinton paid, if he paid.
I think it was.
Do we have a check to prove that he did?
I thought he even admitted it. I don't remember.
No, do we have a check?
Do we have a check?
No, I think in his case, I
thought he admitted it.
The Monica Lewinsky deal, that was not about...
No, this was someone else. No, what was her name? I forget her name.
Paula
yeah, exactly.
Jones?
Whatever her name was.
See?
But I thought Clinton
I know the
admitted it.
names. I can tell you the names.
You're a lot older than I am. I was a young man back then.
Apparently, I have better memory. You have Republican memory, so that means you don't remember a damn thing, and also the things you remember, you cannot defend.
All right. So let's talk about our current administration.
I love this discussion.
Let's talk about local politics. So I know you love the Democrat. You love the Democratic Party because that's what you're saying. You're saying how much you like Bill Clinton. So let's talk about our current mayor and how is he doing?
I'm a Reagan man.
You're a Reagan man. Well, it sounds like you're a Clinton man the way you just defended him.
No, I'm just defending the facts.
The facts.
There was no check. The Lewinsky case against him had nothing to do with paying off and pretending that this was a business deal and charging it to your foundation.
I'm going to say a quote from Bill Clinton.
Wow.
I had no sexual relations with that woman.
Yes.
So he lied. He lied.
Yes. And he admitted
And then
that.
he said...
And he admitted that.
Well, he didn't have... I think then he said he didn't have intercourse with her, but there were other sexual
There were other things
that I can't say on
there was a cigar
I'm
involved.
not even going to go there. And a dress that she kept as evidence. So
yes.
Yes. So,
Okay. So
we'll say he's not perfect.
No.
He didn't say grab him by the blank.
I know. I'm not defending him, but and I wouldn't in that case. But outside of that, the guy was a good president. He governed from the middle. He was not an extremist. He knew how to govern, which is more than we can say.
I would say he was a moderate. I wouldn't disagree there. I mean, I think in hindsight, there were some things that he did that were bad, like the deregulation of the financial services industry that led to the collapse of the markets. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I was in favor of the deregulation of the financial services industries. I didn't see a problem with a bank doing business in stocks and vice versa.
But Trump did worse than that too. Deregulation all over the place. He deregulated everything. The railroads, and that's why we had this crash recently.
I don't know if you can blame that on President Trump.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things he did was deregulation. You could not control some of the things that would have controlled this accident. That's what I'm telling you.
I'll have to look into that.
And those are facts. Well, look into it.
I'll have to look into
that. You have a lot of stuff to look into.
Uh-oh, that fell over. Put it up. Yeah, we can hold it up. Should we just hold it up in front of you? You're going to see after the fact it's going to say Republican Zone on your show, and you're going to be upset. Like, why did you do Compass? It's the Republican Zone.
Do Republican Zone.
I am a guest on your show, Mr. Mendez.
You are.
I would never do that.
And you are a very interesting guest.
Yeah.
But being a good Republican, you cannot tell the truth. So here we are. So,
Oh, Mr. Mendez. But you say you don't like Republicans. Do you like Democrats?
see, you said the opposite of what I just said.
But
I'm a Reagan man.
I know you're a Reagan man, but what are you registered? Are you a registered independent,
Right
Republican,
now,
or a Democrat?
probably independent, yes.
Well, you should. Look,
I don't know.
I will tell you should register one side or the
I
other.
don't remember.
Because you're not going to be able to vote in the primary.
I don't remember.
So why don't you just, okay,
You
I'll
want
tell
me to
you.
register Republican to vote for you?
Then you can vote for me.
Okay.
I can get you registered Republican on my phone in 5 minutes, Mr. Mendez.
Let's do that after the show.
We'll do it after the show. Yeah, it might be a little boring during the show to register you as a Republican.
Yeah, right. People will be witnessing something that is probably a detriment to my reputation.
We won't tell anybody, Mr. Mendez.
Okay, so you were saying that it was difficult to raise money.
Yes.
What is one of the obstacles right now in terms of raising money for Republicans, especially?
Well, as a Republican, you don't have as many Republicans in the city, number one.
Right.
Another problem is sometimes raising money as a moderate. Look, I am a moderate. I was a Democrat most of my life. I didn't just switch and become a very super conservative far-right Republican. I still consider myself somewhat of a moderate, although the further left the Democrat Party goes, the more Republican I feel. But moderates, people who are passionate on the far left open their wallets. And it might not be as much. It might be $20,
Right.
$20 at a time. And people on the far right open their wallets. The
I
moderates,
have five to give you.
you have five? 500?
No, five.
Five?
Just five.
Come on, Mr. Mendez. We know you're one of those wealthy people, so we'll call it 500.
I'm one of the poor people who will give $1 at a time.
You're house wealthy, so you could remortgage your house and get a couple bucks out of your house.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
So that's why. So it's hard as a Republican, and it is also oftentimes hard as a moderate. But as I tell a lot of my friends on the main line in the suburbs, it's time to start looking at Philadelphia politics and paying attention, because the Working Families Party is trying to take 2 of the seats as Working Family Party's members. You also have to pay attention to who they're endorsing. They're endorsing Helen Gim for mayor. They're endorsing a few other candidates who are quote unquote Democrats, because they're trying to have more and more influence on the city of Philadelphia and the politics within the city of Philadelphia. I tell people, if Jim Hasher and I are going to win in November, but if by this bar chance we lose, then the Republican Philly GOP is in trouble, because we could have only one person on council, and even Brian O'Neill is getting challenged in the Northeast. I don't think I know he's not going to lose, but you could be looking at a party in a few years that might not have anyone on council. And once the Working Families is done, quote unquote, taking over, because they're also taking over the Democrat Party. I mean, it's not just Republicans they're trying to replace.
Right.
They are infiltrating the Democrat Party. Then their sites are going to be on Bucks County, Delco, Montco, all the collar counties. So I said, you better pay attention to this. And I think the Pennsylvania GOP they're looking at this race as a watershed moment for the entire state, because they say we need to, when I say it's at a state level, the PA GOP knows how important the race that I am in is, because they don't want the Working Families Party to then have their sights on the suburbs. They already have their sights on Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Scranton. Now they're going to start looking at the suburbs. So that's something that everybody should be looking at.
Now, the position on the ballot is important, no?
Yes.
So how are you in
I
that?
picked number 3. So there's
Yeah.
6 of us running. I picked number 3. So that's, look, I'd rather pick number 1, but 3 is good. 3 will be, I never guarantee anything, but 3 gets me through the primary. In 2019, I picked 6. And I came in 6th. I mean, that's how important it can be, especially in a municipal primary where turnout is not going to be that high. There's no state senatorial race. There's no obviously there's no presidential race. These are purely municipal
So
elections.
at number 3, you have a chance, because there are 5 moving on.
5 will move on through the primary, correct? So I again, I don't ever want to say guarantee.
But
I
then,
suspect
then in November, it's a whole different ballgame, I guess.
November, it's going to be Republicans, because the Democrats are basically done after the primary.
Right.
The 5 who win they're basically on council. You won't even see them running anymore. They won't be
Right.
spending money. They'll spend maybe a little bit of money, but they won't really do much. So in November, it's the Republicans versus the Working Families Party.
But see, that alone is annoying, that that because nobody's going to challenge them, you know.
Well, they are on the ballot. They're going to win.
Yeah, what
they're
happens?
Get the votes.
Yeah, but what happens in race for mayor, for instance? Once any Democrat becomes the candidate for mayor after the primary, it's sort of guaranteed that.
Well, maybe not. I don't think this time. David O is a good candidate. We have an actual, former city councilman who was running for mayor. Probably the first quote unquote, viable Republican candidate for mayor since Sam Katz. So if you remember, Sam Katz almost won. Is David O a long shot? Yes. And if you look at who's running on the Democrat side, someone like David O would have a better shot against someone like Helen Gim. If Alan Dom won, someone who's quote unquote a moderate, David would have a harder time. Someone like Helen Gim wins, who is an endorsed Working Families Party candidate, then David, has a better shot. And he's got good name recognition. I wouldn't count him out. He's going to surprise some people.
Okay, I'd like to explore this a little bit more. Estamos en Campus, en Usalamedia. Les habla Fernando Mendez, en compañía de Drew Murray, who is running for City Council at Large. Este programa lo manejan Dani y Dylan de Rosato. Regresamos en un momento. Amigos de Usalamedia, estamos aquí de nuevo en Campus con Drew Murray. Estamos hablando sobre la campaña que él tiene para ser un miembro del Consejo Municipal, City Council at Large, como republicano. Entonces, tenemos más comentarios sobre las candidaturas y otros temas sobre impuestos. Drew, so we have... The Democrats have more candidates. The Republicans only basically have David O.
On the mayoral, yep. Yeah. It's David O. And then let's see if I can name all of them. There's Helen Gim, Rebecca Reinhart, Alan Dom, Jeffrey Brown, Derek Green, Marie Quinones Sanchez, Sherelle Parker, Amon Brown, Judge DeLeon.
One more. Yeah, there were
Bloom.
10.
I'm forgetting one.
Yeah.
Mr. Bloom. I forget. I apologize. I forget his first name. Is that all of them?
Yeah.
Did I get all of them?
That's basically,
That's basically all of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of candidates.
That's a lot of candidates. That means the person who wins could win in the Democrat primary with 100,000 votes. That's very possible.
Yeah.
Which is only, let's do the math, 7% of the people in Philadelphia could choose the next mayor.
So it would turn out that let's say either Brown or Alan Dom, who already spent millions running, they would be paying like $200,000 for each vote.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting if you look at Alan Dom and Jeffrey Brown. People say that they're too similar. They are white, Jewish, successful business
cancel
people.
Each other.
I think they cancel each other out. And I like Alan. I think he is a moderate. Jeffrey Brown, I don't know him, but I think if you look at what he's done in communities in what are former food deserts, and he opens businesses and hires people who were formerly incarcerated, I think he seems like a good person. I don't know him personally, but seems like a good person, a good business person. You would think a good candidate. He doesn't have the experience in government that you would hope would have, that Alan does, but I think they cancel each other out.
I think Alan has an advantage in terms of that experience. Also, he was on this program, and I think he's a good candidate. He has
Who else have
good
you had?
ideas about
Have you had-
education.
did you have Rebecca?
No, I tried. I invited Rebecca Reinhardt. She was on my show before.
Sure, as the controller.
And I have all the connections and all that stuff. And some of the people responded, but then there was no final.
There are
agreement as
so
to
many
what,
events
so.
that they go to
Yeah.
that I think they're stretched thin. In
They
that
just don't have the time. Yeah.
I run the Philadelphia Crosstown Coalition, and we're doing 2 forums, and when we were organizing them, so one's going to be on Tuesday next week on the 28th of March, and one's on April 12th. You know, I said early on, I said, if there are a lot of forums, you're going to see candidates cancel
Yeah.
prior to. And we had basically everyone say yes, but recently they have been saying no because there are too many. In fact, some candidates reached out to us and said, can you combine forums with other groups because there's just too many. And they're all about the same thing,
Yeah.
crime. That's all.
That seems to be the main focus of most campaigns.
And
right now.
we're having 2 forums, and purposely we did one not on crime because we knew that everyone was going to do one on crime, and we'd just be another forum where they're asking the same question.
Right.
So over and over again. So that's probably why you're having some trouble because these candidates are stretched thin. I can see it. When they walk in the room, you can tell they're exhausted, which is a good thing. Make them work for it. I mean, make them get out there and tell their story and tell us what they're going to do to be a better mayor than our current mayor.
Just briefly, because I want to talk about the other 2 issues about the taxes. Name 1 or 2 things that you would do that should be done in terms of crime in the city.
As what the mayor candidate should do?
Yeah. That you would approve.
First and foremost, I would come out publicly and denounce our current district attorney because our current district attorney is not doing his job.
Right.
He is not prosecuting criminals, and according to everyone who has left his office is in disarray. He doesn't know how to run an office. You know, he was a criminal defense attorney, and he kind of still runs his office that way. He doesn't. That's the first thing I would do. Come out and publicly. Look, we can't take him out of office. He was voted in. Now he was voted in with like 2 or 3% of the voters.
A friend of mine quit within weeks of his taking the job.
A lot of people. Well, he fired a lot of people because he didn't want. Which look, you come in. It's your office now.
Right.
You can do that. But he fired a lot of experienced attorneys and brought in people who accepted and followed his ideology. And they weren't experienced. I mean, it shows.
So that'll be one thing. But what else can be done?
Can be done about crime? I would do something. You know, number one, what I would not have done is I would not have paid out over $9 million to protesters who stormed Vine Street Expressway. I mean, we just rewarded people who did illegal behavior.
So they'll do it again.
Peaceful protesters don't go on expressways. If you want to march down the Ben Franklin Parkway, where police can control you and control traffic and can let ambulances through and all of that, fine. When you go out on the Vine Street Expressway, you are no longer a peaceful protester. When you're on the Vine Street Expressway and you're jumping on top of cars and spray painting walls, you are no longer a peaceful protester. And our mayor just gave them $9 million. $9 million. That could have been used for programs to prevent gun violence. You know, let's invest in communities, underserved communities, to keep these people from going into a life of crime, which is what, look, this gun violence that we have now, it's all mostly related to drugs.
Right.
So we gotta stop, the drug trade in our city.
It's a very complex problem. The violence has to do with poverty and
absolutely.
access to a good education early on and all that. So we know that.
So we could have had that $9 million. Instead, we gave it to people who got tear gas because they would not leave the Vine Street Expressway.
So when we have a few minutes to talk about the other 2 things you want to address, taxes.
Sure. No, they're talking to City Council today. There's no votes, and I don't even think there's any legislation officially on the books yet. But they are talking about rent control. And you look at any municipality that has tried rent control, it does the opposite. All it does is control rent on some parcels, while the rents in other areas skyrocket. So it causes the opposite effect. Look at Manhattan.
The experience, I was going to say, the experience of Manhattan.
Yeah, they tried rent control, and it's great if you are in one of those rent-controlled properties, but everywhere else gets way more expensive.
Yes.
It doesn't work. It's socialism. It's more proof that socialism or communism doesn't work. It sounds great on paper. Hey, everyone works, everyone does this, and everyone gets money, and we don't have super rich, we don't have super poor. Everyone just is kind of in the middle, but it doesn't work, and it's been proven not to work. And rent control is absolutely, Manhattan is the poster child on why rent control doesn't work. But legislators like the Working Families Party, they just want to keep doing it. They just want to, we know what we did wrong in the past. Now we're going to do it differently. That's how many times have you heard that argument? We know how to do it correctly. So they're talking about that in city council today. And if God forbid they have all their candidates win in November, which they won't, you could see rent control coming to the city of Philadelphia.
Wow. It's one of those things that you sort of see it coming, like a deluge. And so let's hope we can do something. But
and this is who it hurts a lot too. Like everyone talks about these rich landlords, and the eviction process that Helen Gim put in place during the pandemic, which was honestly needed then. When people didn't have money during the pandemic, yes, we can't evict those
as one
people.
of the people who actually owned property that I rented during the pandemic, I lost a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone thinks it's these rich landlords like PMC are just, they can afford everything. Most of the landlords in the city of Philadelphia are probably like yourself, people who that's your income.
I had to sell it.
Yeah.
I can afford to keep it anymore.
And so when you have legislation that number one prevents evictions when people aren't paying their rent, or provides free attorneys to people who aren't paying their rent, but not providing free attorneys to the small landlords, how is that fair? And now you're going to put rent control on a lot of these parcels that are owned by landlords who that is their way of living. I mean, we know you're rich, Mr. Mendez. We know you're coming to my fundraiser on Friday night.
The rich part.
But no, most landlords are like you. They're not. You live off the rent from your properties.
And always is you cannot afford to lose money in that sense, because you keep paying more and more taxes, as we know, for the real estate. They just keep going up. I still have a couple of small properties, and I know the taxes keep going up.
My taxes went up 40% this year, in 1 year. My income didn't go up 40%.
I know. Nobody's income
went up 40%. Yeah. But they did it anyway, and they didn't have to. The mayor and council could have looked at it and changed the millage rate and said, you know what? Just because, values of properties went up because of comps in the area, in those neighborhoods, they could have changed the millage rate. So some people still would have gone up, but they could have done it so that it wasn't a tax increase. They basically put a tax increase by saying at the same time, well, we're not raising taxes. The millage rate is the same. Yeah. Your parcel just went up 40%. But again,
it's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Whose income goes up 40%? And now they said it was over a 2-3 year period because of the pandemic, but that's still a 10-15% increase every year of those years. My income didn't go up 10-15%.
Well, Drew, I hope you become a member of City Council.
Thank you. Will you vote for
me? Yes, I will vote for you, and I'll be calling you every day to say what's happening here.
What has happened? If you get a pothole, you're going to call me every day, Mr. Mendez.
Yes.
And I'll come fix it.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Amigos oyentes de Usalamedia, este es el final del programa Compass en compañía de Drew Murray. Está corriendo para City Council at large. A ver si votamos por él para ayudarnos. Este programa lo manejó Dylan de Rosato y Dani Ramos. Muchas gracias. Los esperamos hasta la próxima.